I take it by that nobody actually looked at the game ahead of time, which, I didn't require it of you, but it just means we're going to have to talk through it to start. Stream is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. Tonight, we're playing Mission Accomplished.
Woohoo!
Mission the levels.
Oh.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am tonight Mission Control. Usually the Dungeon Master. And our players tonight, we'll find out who they're playing in a moment, but we have Starla Hutchton,
Hello.
Mark Kilfoyle,
It's top secret.
and Paul Fisher.
That's us.
Yes. So, tonight, the game that we're playing is called Mission Accomplished by Jeff Stormer, who also does the Party of One podcast. It's an excellent tabletop podcast if people want to check that out. But this game is, at least by design, all about like super spies who have had a technically successful mission where nonetheless a lot of things went wrong. And the whole game is about having a debriefing session where we find out what happened and who did good and who did bad and whose fault it was and who gets that nice promotion. It's a pretty fun, silly, tongue-in-cheek game. And although the base game is kind of designed to be focused around like the idea of like modern espionage, that sort of thing, James Bond or Archer is even maybe a more apt touchstone here. But I think what we were talking about is potentially having it take place within our normal campaign setting. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So, the start that we need to the very first thing that we need to do is I'm going to read a little bit of the kind of the starting stuff, the vibe of the game here. Elevator pitch. No, not. Don't need that. But so, okay. Congratulations, agents. The world as we know it is under siege. The criminal organization known as Villains, the vast international league of larcenists, arsonists, and inventors of nefarious science, has emerged from the shadows with seemingly infinite resources, an endless playbook of dastardly schemes, and a hunger for chaos, destruction, and global domination. To combat this threat, the United Nations has sanctioned the formation of the Department of High-Risk Operations, colloquially known as the HERO, with the HI is, we pronouncing it? HERO Department. HERO is a top-secret elite Black Ops unit composed of the best from the intelligence, cybersecurity, wet surveillance, demolitions, accounting, and managerial communities. And so this is the base vibe of this game. As you can see, it's got a lot of silliness in there. So I just wanted to read that because even though we're not necessarily using modern espionage, I wanted to give a sense of what this game is kind of all about. So the basic concept here is that all of you are agents who have returned from this mission, and I am giving the debriefing where I'm trying to find out what happened. But the very first thing that we need to do is generate this mission. And the game has an example, several example dossiers where missions that could be used, but they're designed to be more in the like super spy arena. So you could take a look at those if you want. They're in the back half of this PDF. But the first thing that we need to do is figure out what was our primary objective in this mission. And the concrete facts that we know about this mission so far, the first is the mission was a success and everyone survived. At least the people in this room survived. Doesn't mean everybody else did. We have accomplished whatever this primary objective was. However, just because the mission was a success doesn't mean things went smoothly. A whole lot of things went horribly wrong, and upper management is not happy. So basically, what we need to start with is what was our primary objective, and then we can identify some secondary objectives as we like or related things. And we can start to kind of build in some of the details of what this whole situation was about. But then we're going to go around, and each of us, including me, are going to specify one of the things that went wrong. A complication, controversy, or horrible mistake made during the mission. Suggestions should be big, over the top, ridiculous, and disastrous. Nothing is off the table so long as you remember the two most important pieces of the room. All of the agents survived, at least all of the agents in the room, and the mission was successful. But, like I said, lots of things went wrong. So after we do this part, the next step will be creating the agents and like who you are, right? So when we say something went wrong, at this point, we're not like blaming anything. We're not saying who did what, but we could say like one agent did X, right? You could say something like that, or it could have been something that was, just an environmental thing or whatever. So, but I think before we can even really get that far, let's kind of just say, like, what is our setting if it's not the book's standard version? Are we setting it in our campaign setting of Sekamian?
I was going to say yes.
All right.
Yeah.
That's certainly
there's
fine.
lots of room there. Yeah, lots of ways things can go wrong.
Sure.
So,
Go ahead.
I had an idea
Okay. Yeah.
of what happened. So we were part of a large group of construct makers,
Okay.
sent to open up negotiations with an ancient red dragon that lives on the plane of fire.
So, I mean, one of the things that I like about that, being part of the construct makers is, first of all, not everybody in the whole faction is necessarily evil or a bad person, right? Like there's a lot of people who are just doing their jobs, so to speak. But that organization does very much fall in line with some of the rest of the vibe of this game. One thing that I'll encourage you to all look at is on page 24 of the PDF, and I've got it here on the stream. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Black Ops Agents. In a lot of ways, these sorts of ideals, commitment to excellence, efficiency, team spirit, personal development, respect for authority, inventory management, and fiscal responsibility, are in some ways how you are going to be scored in this. So I, as mission control, am going to be judging your agents based on how well they adhered to these principles. So the idea is, whoever you all are, whether it's from the construct makers or otherwise, the idea is that these are the ideals that you are being expected to adhere to. Does anyone want to veto construct makers, or how does that sound?
I'm fine with that. I don't have a better idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know much about them, but we can certainly play that up too.
Well, I think part of what can be fun about a game like this is we can use it to find out more about them, right?
Play to see what happens.
Exactly. Because the nature of this game is I don't have an adventure scenario planned. What this game is you telling me what happened. So, and you'll see how that works in a moment. So I like being the construct makers. I'm going to encourage you to think a little bigger than just traveling to open up negotiations with a dragon. Let's make the stakes of this are much higher.
Well, I guess what would the construct makers want? They're after power. They're after technology.
They would want this to get the dragon to sign a contract.
to actually sign. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
And so I think it would. So what we will build into the whole thing is like what all happens around it, right? Like when we say overall it was successful, so if the goal is to sign a contract, then they definitely signed the contract and that was successful, but lots of other things went wrong, right? So does everyone like that plan?
It doesn't feel like it's dangerous enough.
Okay, say more.
There's a couple of possibilities. What if there was a rival team? Let's go for another contract maker. Let's say there were doubles involved,
Okay, so
both trying to control the dragon.
I like that. I think, for example, our very next step, once we've primarily assigned like what is the goal, is that we're going to each take turns adding a complication. That would be an excellent example of that type of complication.
Okay.
Right? And so you're kind of just jumping ahead. But
Sure.
if we like that primary objective is to get the dragon to sign a contract, then then the next step is we go in and we add those extra complications. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have I should be taking some notes here. Our the team of agents from the construct makers. And so you don't see my notes here. Primary objective to sign a contract. Let's say what's the contract for?
Wouldn't it be like another one of the like the construct makers tend to write contracts so that they can use people as batteries, and I imagine using a red dragon as a battery would be pretty powerful.
Yeah. So as established so far, generally speaking, the contract kind of includes that almost as like a little codicil. Usually, the primary thing is like we're hiring you to do a job, and the fact that they also kind of pull the energy from them is kind of like part of that. But usually, you wouldn't be just signing the thing to say I'm letting you take my energy, and then otherwise I just sit around.
What about establishing an outpost on the plane of fire?
Oh, okay. So to build maybe to build a manufacturing site in the dragon's territory, maybe.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because they are doing something well, we don't actually know, but like something similar. They have offered help to the
Okay.
people in I'm trying to remember where the temple is to Marushka, but
Well, so
Hmm.
Emersham.
Yes, Emerson.
Do we, since we're talking about a red dragon in the plane of fire, do we want it to be the same one that the pocket protectors encountered?
That's what I was thinking. You already have the map.
Sure. Well, we're not going to use the map, but we can certainly imagine it. We're not
So-
going to have like a battle map or tokens. In
So
Okay.
this contract so far is all about what the construct makers want. Right? It's not benefiting the dragon at all. So what's the dragon getting out of this contract?
Well, I think that is an excellent example of something that part of what we will find out is what is being promised to the dragon.
Okay.
Right. But I think that's a good line of thinking. So, okay, we've got our primary objective. We can definitely say one of the. So now each of us needs to say a complication or something went wrong. So one of the things, Mark, you suggested was that there's a rival team trying to do something similar, or just to interfere in some way. Do you want that to be your suggested complication?
Yeah, I think that that works.
Okay. So what is their deal? Like, what are they trying to? Oh, it was devils, right?
Yeah, that was kind of focusing around the contract part, but it could
Sure.
also be that there is a resource
Mm-hmm.
that people want,
Okay.
a font of eternal fire or something, or that the dragon controls.
Okay. So and that's maybe even why we want to build it. We want to build our factory there.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So that's the complication is that there was a team of devils. You discovered that there is a team of devils trying to secure the same location.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do we want to say was this the name of this thing? Like, was it an elemental font or something like that?
An upwelling.
Hmm. I like upwelling. Okay, so who else has another complication or something that went wrong? Notable like examples that they have in their sort of example of play here in the game doesn't have to have anything at all to to directly connect to the primary objective. It can just be something that went wrong or a mistake somebody made during the mission. And so some of the examples here include things like where is it? Um, uh, an AI went on lockdown, trapping hostages inside. An alien escaped, putting everyone's lives in danger. Um, so just like it could be just like a monster showed up, or it turned out that all of our equipment melted, or something like that. Like it could be anything. It doesn't have to directly connect to the objective.
I was thinking we were like the third string team, and like the first string team went to talk to the dragon, and we're standing on a ledge, and it collapsed into the lava.
Okay. So, well, how's that a mistake or a problem for this mission?
Oh, uh, hmm, I was thinking they just picked the wrong place to stand.
Well, sure, but that was them.
Right.
What went wrong? What went wrong on your mission?
Well, I mean, we were all together. There were like, but we were there
Well,
as like the backups. But oh,
no,
hmm,
no. So you are the team that has been sent to do this thing.
right, okay.
And now we could say
So
that there had been
what
a previous team, but that in and of itself is not a complication in your mission.
what if this what upwelling, is that the word we're using?
Mm-hmm.
There's been some sort of a landslide, or it has been otherwise there is an impediment to physically accessing this location.
Okay. This is something that is it's going to make this whole thing harder. Is this a new thing, or is it just something we didn't know before?
I think it's probably something we didn't know before.
Okay. A previously unknown um, landslide, or do we want to just say geographical feature?
I think it's something that actually like happened between like when we first scouted it and then when we actually got there.
Okay. I'm going to
Something
encourage.
changed.
So I love it in concept. I'm going to encourage you to think really big. What is the thing that makes it hard or complicated or whatever?
There was an earthquake because everything is weird right now,
Mm-hmm.
and there is like a giant fissure opened up.
Okay. So I'm going to encourage you even bigger, even bigger. Like it's a fissure full of
Nightmare energy, sure.
Okay.
That, that's pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Paul, did you have one ready, or I can go too?
Um, no, that was even bigger than what I was thinking.
Well, that's okay. So
Uh,
you could also focus on an agent did something wrong. For example, that would be another. So one thing it's clear in this game, by the way, that you're all competing for a promotion, and also it's quite possible that whoever did the worst is going to get fired. So there's going to be a little bit of like who, trying to take as much credit and avoid as much blame as possible later. But right now, we're just talking about things that went wrong. So those are both complications, but it could also be a mistake somebody made, or just something else that went wrong that was disastrous.
an agent insulted the dragon by sitting on one of her eggs.
Excellent. I love that. That just reminds me, I need to look up the name of this dragon. I have it in my notes somewhere, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Okay. So, complication 4, I'm going to say it turned out that, let's see. I think that it turns out, I know there's all these decisions to be made. I think that it turned out that the heat protective spells that you were all given to protect you from the energies in the elemental plane of fire turned out to not work quite right. And so you were all very sort of overheated and sweaty throughout the whole thing, which caused all sorts of, just made everything extra difficult. And so that is something that can play into several other things. Was inadequate. Everyone. Okay, so what we've got right now, this mission, primary objective was to sign a contract with a red dragon in the plane of fire, to build a factory in the dragon's territory where there is an upwelling. Complication 1, there's also a team of devils trying to secure the same location from the dragon. Complication 2, an earthquake opened up a giant fissure of nightmare energy, obstructing the upwelling. Complication 3, an agent insulted the dragon by sitting on one of her eggs. And complication 4, the heat protective gear was inadequate, so everyone was sweaty and overheated throughout the mission. So, next step is agent generation. And so this is where you are deciding who you are playing. And this is not a complicated process. What we need is just your name and pronouns, your specialty, meaning what role you served on the mission, like why were you on the team. A fun fact about your character, something to help us get to know you as an employee. Hobbies, quirks, professional achievements, or blood vendettas are all good options, the book says. And then last, the team contribution, which is what did you do that helped this mission be successful in the end? And it doesn't have to be the only thing. It's just like, what was the thing that made the difference for achieving the primary objective.
I'm ready this time.
Yeah? Great.
Yeah. All right. I'm Sylvia. Do we need last names? I have a last name, but if we
If
don't
you
need
want,
them,
it is up to you.
I am Sylvia Fernbrook, and I am the team medic. And one of my hobbies is actually taxidermy. I know it seems kind of like, not like it should be, but
Mhm.
And my contribution was keeping everyone from dying of heat stroke.
Uh-huh. How did you do that?
Given the setting, I'm probably like a healer of some sort.
Okay. So, it
Yeah.
can be something that you were doing throughout, but let's pick like a specific moment of like the great idea that you had that helped. And it can't be something that just negates the main complication, but it can be something that made a difference in a crucial moment.
Um, I have like a one-shot ability to grow a tree to like provide shade.
Okay.
I can only do it once, like once a week or something like that.
Produce shade. And you just you were able to produce that in a what key moment of negotiations?
Yeah, I think we were taking a little bit of I was going to say we were taking a little heat from the rival team, um, and they thought they could best us. So not only did the tree provide some shade, but it also provided cover.
Great, great.
I don't want to suggest this for real, but I do like the idea. It's weird in my head that all of us have the ability to produce shade. One of them is to produce actual darkness. One is to actually be the comeback artist whenever there's puns or cynical remarks needed, and the other one produces a magical creation, a shade or ghost. It's kind of weird that produce shade produced three very different things for me, but that's my brain.
There you go.
Well, I mean, my tree burst into flames like pretty soon after it was there, but it did the job.
So, Sylvia Fernbrook. Okay. So, that is an excellent agent creation. Who would like to go next?
I think I'm ready.
Okay.
I am Argyle, known as Argyle the Red,
All right.
for the red ink that goes down in my ledgers. I am an accountant,
Always
and
one.
hiding money and recording losses as profits are my specialties.
Okay.
I also bake sourdough bread as a hobby. And I was able to help educate the dragon in the many ways of making a profit off of us being the ones to build our base at the upwelling instead of the what did we say it was devils?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, instead of the devils.
Okay. Great. Argyle the Red. How about you, Mark?
Oh God. Yeah, whoa. There's always so many possibilities.
Seems like we
I
need a
have
team face. You
I
got a
I
medic and an accountant
true, true. Um,
or defense.
I I I don't know why, but I have to choose the name Rock Grinder.
Nice.
Um, that just sort of occurred and it wouldn't stop, so I have to do that. Um, uh, and I'm torn between sort of the physical or the emotional. How about his specialty is uh, um, knowing the right gift to bring. Does that work?
Um, that
Or is that too special?
I no I think we need to just like broaden it. I mean, I think
Sure,
that that's a
sure.
key piece, but like that's
What about the
just like
cultural attaché?
yeah, or client relations is what I was going to say, but
Client relations. Oh dear.
yeah,
Yeah, all right. Let's do client relations. That
okay,
sounds ridiculous.
okay.
Fun fact. Um, oh wow. Uh, how about accomplished artist?
Okay. In what medium?
Trading cards.
What, you make trading cards or are you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Fantastic. Love that. Okay. And so the knowing just the right gift to bring could be, for example, what you did to help achieve the objective in the end.
Yeah. I was also going to go for personalized business cards that we each have
Okay.
our own trading card, but um,
I mean, you could still absolutely have done that, but what we need specifically here is what was
sure,
something you did that made
crucial.
the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, uh, how about I'm thinking solve the problem for the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Like the location was overrun or something like that. So it was we already have the earthquake. Um,
Well, so the earthquake was a problem, right? And so
yeah,
you could have done something that helps with that.
Well, I mean, somebody did sit on a dragon's egg, so that's going to need to
true,
be smoothed
true.
over.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, and you already mentioned bringing just the perfect gift. Like that could be it. We
yeah.
could decide what that is.
Yeah, what would be the perfect gift for a red dragon in the plane of fire? The problem is the character knows, but Mark's kind of stymied. Sure.
Well, so what I'll allow here is that you are good at your job. This made the difference. You tell
Uh-huh.
us what the answer was. It doesn't have to be what was like. There's no real answer, right? You tell us
Yeah.
what you predicted that turned out to be perfect.
I'm gonna say it's a construct.
Okay.
We brought a construct with us that uh, heaps praise upon the dragon.
Okay.
It is a complimentary gift, you might say.
I'm remembering in Return of the Jedi gifting R2D2 and C3PO to Jabba. Just like, look, it's a droid that'll stand next to you and say nice things.
Heaps praise and cares for eggs.
A nanny bot.
Great.
A nanny bot.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Love that. Love that. Okay, great. So now that we've got our mission and our agents, it's time for anonymous written reports. The way this works is that you will whisper these messages to me in privately in Roll20, because the idea is only you and I know what you're submitting here. Each of you is going to do that. This is page 14 of the PDF is where it talks about this. But specifically, each of you, for each of your fellow agents, you're going to pick one of them and write something good that they did that positively contributed to the success of the mission. And then for the other one, you're going to say something that they screwed up, something they complicated, compromised, or negatively contributed to the success of the mission. So, like, for example, if someone had said that their hobby is that they're a podcaster, you could say, we were trying to stealth through a really dangerous area and they started recording a podcast while they were walking and it attracted attention to us, right? Like that could be something like that could be. So I got the test whisper from both Paul and from Mark. And then a question mark that wasn't whispered. There's a successful test from Starla. So yeah, if you can whisper those to me, the idea is, you're going to pick one of your fellow agents to say they helped with something and one of your fellow agents to say they hurt something. And so, it theoretically could happen that one person gets all the negative ones and another gets all the positive ones. Like it could end up that way because we're not just doing it in a circle, but that's fine. So you just send those to me and then we'll be ready to move on to the next phase.
So
Of this.
one part is to say something that somebody else did that was negative and something I did that was positive.
No. So, Paul, for your character, Argyle the Red, right?
Yep.
You were going to, your fellow agents are Sylvia and Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say one of them did something good and and the other one did something bad. And send both of those to me. And then, Sylvia, you're doing that for Argyle and Rock, et cetera, et cetera. So each of you is saying one positive thing that one of your fellow agents did, and then a negative thing that the other fellow agent did. You decide who it is based on what we've talked about before, and there we go. Okay, great. So some of this might involve just a little bit of quiet with typing and so on. But that's, we'll try to cover with some general talk. Part of what's happening here is that, we have this anonymous written reports that I have information on. And so when we do the debrief, I'll be like asking, to explain each of these things. But part of the fun of this is that I might be asking you to explain something that you did that you don't know about, but one of the other players had submitted, right? And so you will have to try to defend why you did that thing, for example. Okay, so I'm seeing, I've got both from Mark. I've got one from Paul.
No, there's both in there.
Oh, are they? Oh, I see. They are both in there. Okay. I just didn't see that they were both in the same message. Great. Okay. Okay, great. So I'm seeing those. So I'm going to now that we've everyone has sent those. We're going to have our first part where you're going to role play a little bit. It's the coffee break phase. And what this phase is actually for is for me as mission control to organize all my notes and everything and prepare it. But the idea here is that you have each submitted your report. You've returned to base. You've each submitted your individual report. And now you are waiting for the group debrief. Sitting in a room having coffee, your coffee break, and you're chatting. So brief coffee break. While agents are on their coffee break, they are encouraged to speak with each other in character to establish past relationships and develop interpersonal dynamics. Agents should not, under any circumstances, use this time to plan betrayals, form secret alliances, devise strategy, or attempt to intimidate their peers. This would be a serious breach of ethics and is frowned upon by Hero Department senior leadership. That said, Mission Control is distracted and they wouldn't notice if anything like that happened. And so now is when you will kind of jump into character, and you are playing your characters while they wait for the debriefing to happen. Would you like me to explain the rest of the rules of the game now, or just keep kind of doing it as we get to those phases?
I think just as we go, it's less to kind of juggle at one time.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So, the reason I have that the 7 habits of highly effective black ops agents, again, that's on page 24. I've highlighted that is just because you should really. It's a big part of the game to remember that those are the ideals you're being expected to adhere to. But proceed with your coffee break, including, if you like, describing what the room is like, what you're having. Is it coffee? What are you having, and all of that? In the meantime, I'm organizing my notes.
The awkward beginning. So I liked what you did with that tree. That was an original thing that we really should have had in our briefing when we were going in as an asset that we knew we could pull out, but, better late than never, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I try to save it for special occasions, so I don't have to go out on all of these missions all the time, because I mean, I can't do it all the time. So yeah, it's a
Is that a family
special
thing
skill.
or little thing you picked up at one time at Bard College or something? Or Druid
well,
College? Did you date a druid? Is that it?
yeah, sort of.
Well, as parting gifts are not
I
bad.
may have picked up a few things in my training, in my youth. I mean, druid circles are magical places.
Yeah, I never go to them myself, but I hear things.
Only
And,
good things, I'm sure.
It would have been better if you had let us know about that in advance. We could have put it on the balance sheet and,
That was a rare asset you used, right?
Yeah,
Like a
I
thing you
mean,
can't do very often?
yeah, then we would have been able to advise you as to when would be the appropriate time to
Well, I just don't
use
like
that.
people taking advantage of my special skill.
See, now you're speaking my language. What you need to do is make sure you add that to your report and also the bill. I'm sure Argyle can suggest a few columns where that can be written into.
Oh, I'm sure he can. If
Certainly.
there's anything he likes, it's columns and data and facts and
Numbers.
rules and numbers and
Numbers.
fascinating, really.
They
Hey,
make the
someone has to
world
add
go
in correctly.
round. You've heard money makes the world go round? Well, we account for the money with numbers. So in reality, the numbers
I'm not
make the
always
world go
sure how necessary that is in the field. Like, that seems like something that you could, do from base. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's
proactive
not an important skill.
accounting. Proactive accounting in the field is extremely necessary. You have so many people promising so many things without any idea what any of it costs in the way of money, magic, resources, time, space. It takes a lot of space to make constructs. We have big factories for this, and we need more. We need power sources.
Well, now we have both of each.
True.
I think they're going to shine on us very strongly for this mission. I mean, I don't want to say promotion out of hand, but promotion most likely, at least for some of us.
Well, yes. I mean, those of us that didn't accidentally sit on a dragon's egg while trying to negotiate with a dragon.
Yeah, he'll be fired. Almost was fired, actually. Like, actual fire. Little quick thinking managed to save his soul, which, is one little tally in my book.
You keep saying he when it was you.
No. I swept in at the appropriate moment to make sure everything was set properly. Of Good quick thinking early ahead. Had it all in mind. Now, I didn't tell them to go and sit on the egg, but they sort of took it that way. I just moved as quickly as I could, so it looked perhaps like I was sitting on the egg, but it was actually someone else.
And I'm sure that, you know, nobody was needed a seat because, you know, they're just standing there for so long while everyone went, well, how we had to go over all of the facts and figures, and there was just so much of that.
Called discipline.
Well, we should have accounted for some chairs, what we should have done.
Hmm. Carrying chairs around seems like a needless thing, although I could probably have added an extra chair to the construct. Might want to think about that next time.
Standing is so much more efficient, and it's, you know, less offensive to the mother when you sit on one of her eggs.
To be fair, they were kind of squarish and rock-like.
And maybe you were taking Rock Grinder a little bit too far?
Hey, look, my mother gave me that name. Don't you insult my mother, or she will have words, and probably an axe or two. She was really protective.
All right, agents. I believe that we are ready to begin the debriefing.
Excellent.
So here's how this works: is that by and large, this is going to be pretty freeform, in the sense that I am asking you to tell me about what happened, and sometimes I might just say, "So, how did the mission start?" And for example, you'll just, you know, tell me how the mission started, and then periodically, what I will get to is bringing up some of the points that I know about what happened based on what makes sense to me in terms of when to bring various things up. And I might ask you to, as an individual, to explain something, or I might ask as a group to understand what happened, and you'll all just explain it. But I will be handing out dice. Commendation dice are whenever I hear something that I think indicates that you have upheld one of the 7 habits of highly effective agents. However, anytime I hear about something that I think goes against one of those, I will be handing out citation dice. And so you can see on our screen here, I've got white dice and black dice. Right now, the number on them does not matter. It will matter at the end, but right now it will just be how many you have. So when I think that you've done something well, I will give white dice. When I think you've done something wrong, I give you a black dice. Notably, this is not only about what happens on the mission. If I think that you are displaying one of these principles or going against it as we debrief, that can also apply. And part of the game is me handing out, you know, points and demerits, you know, as I see fit. And so that is basically the game. And so your goal is basically to get more citations than, or more commendations than citations. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. The one other feature that hopefully won't come up is that if I ever feel like the debriefing has descended into anarchy, then I will put an anarchy die on the board. And basically, an anarchy die is bad for everybody. So this, by and large, is meant to just be a mechanic to keep this from descending into an argument of he said or she said or whatever, right? So that's what it comes down to is if I feel like, you know, there's too much arguing, then I'll put an anarchy die on the board. Otherwise, it's all about figuring out what happened on this crazy mission, and I will hand out commendations or citations as I feel necessary. Does that make sense? Everyone ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay. So, agents. I have read your reports, and I see that we did secure the site for the factory from the dragon's territory. Well done on that. However, it seems to me that quite a bit went wrong on this mission, and we are here to discuss that and figure out exactly how this debacle happened. So, the fact that you achieved the primary objective is noteworthy, so to speak, but we expect a lot from our agents. And this is not something where this is somewhat of a messy victory, and I expect better. So, let's start. Who would like to begin? What was the first thing that happened when you all arrived on the elemental plane of fire?
We made our way into the dragon's lair and announced ourselves, and
Oh, hold
Well,
on,
I
hold
think you're
on.
getting ahead of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because the first thing that we had to do was equip ourselves with the heat shielding magic that we were given,
Mm-hmm.
which was incredibly generous of the organization, and we're very appreciative. Um, I don't think it was quite.
I'm
I
going
think
to
our
give you a commendation die for your respect for authority, for understanding the generosity that we provided you with this equipment. So I'm going to give you a commendation die. Um, Argyle, I'm afraid I'm going to have to cite you for efficiency. Because while I understand you wanting to jump right to the end of this mission, we need to hear about the whole thing. Uh, so I'm going to head and hand those out. But yes, please continue, Sylvia, about the equipment.
Well, I was actually thinking if R&D needed any input on more for future uses, like if we need to go to the plane of fire again. I could possibly suggest some improvements to the magical workings and such that might make them more efficient and even better than they already were.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I have here in my notes that the equipment was inadequate, that it did not provide sufficient protection from the heat.
Well,
It's
I
very good that
really
Sylvia was with us, though, because she provided in quick thinking a moment of shade that saved the whole deal. It gave us a moment to think in this ridiculously warm area. And in that brief instant, we were able to come up with exactly what we needed to. So I want to applaud my fellow agent for that because I believe it was a clutch moment.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm going to provide a commendation for team spirit, both for Sylvia in her quick thinking and her ability to protect the team in that way, but also for Rock in being willing to praise his teammate.
and I would point out that Rock was instrumental in figuring out exactly what the problem was with the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So, what was
it's
the
good for
problem
him.
with the equipment?
It just needed a little more power, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not a technical person for that, but I was able to determine that unless we were able to combine the devices together, they just wouldn't work sufficiently. I guess we hadn't really had a lot of advanced recon and early client dealings with the plane of fire. I think that we can improve that, though, and I think that what we've established will be a great beachhead to be able to do that research in earnest. I think the applications of what we've been able to do here are going to be incredibly relatable to almost everything that we're doing.
so whose responsibility was it to choose the heat resistance equipment and ended up not choosing the correct equipment?
Well, I was led to believe that it was a budgetary decision. Someone was running the numbers, and that was how it worked out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a commendation die for your fiscal responsibility. However, I'm going to give you a citation die for team spirit because this obviously impacted the comfort and effectiveness of your team.
I mean, it's not Argyle's fault. They were just trying to make sure that the numbers balanced in the end. And as I'm sure they will show
Right.
you,
So you're saying that Argyle was responsible for the equipment?
within the parameters they were given, they made the best decisions they could. It may have been with limited information, and maybe they should have questioned it a bit more, but I think these are growth areas where we can learn.
I'm going to give you a citation for team spirit for not letting Argyle answer his question, Rock. Argyle,
Yes,
so why didn't you pack the right heat resistance equipment?
I went over the numbers based on the information we had from our advanced scouts and picked the most effective and efficient and fiscally responsible equipment based on the what was in stock at the time. And the choices were this particular set of heat abatement magics or another set that were far more expensive and needed elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so, based on the parameters of our mission uh, and the need to be fiscally responsible, we took the lesser heat abatement gear because the other gear the would have been really overkill for what we were doing, and it was needed elsewhere.
You know what?
I
I
mean, none
like
of the
this.
heat abatement equipment survived the mission, so I'm not sure overkill is quite the word I would use, but I understand the point you're trying to make.
So I like that level of efficiency and fiscal responsibility, Argyle. I'm going to give you a commendation die for that. For Rock, I think that it seems like that's not a very team spirit uh, attitude.
I'm just merely pointing out that unfortunately none of that inventory survived the trip. I think if we had had potentially higher quality equipment, it would have returned and been usable by others. But as it
Are
was,
you
this.
questioning my read of the situation?
Oh, absolutely not. No, just a learning opportunity for all of us, especially the next missions who might go in to build up the plants and do the work there.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be much better prepared the next time.
All right. So I have here that once you arrived in the elemental plane of fire, you discovered that there was another team from the Hells trying to lock down their own contractual possession of the upwelling. How did you discover this other team of rivals?
Well, when we got to the dragon's lair, they were arriving at the same time. It was really quite embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Why was it
It,
embarrassing?
well, we had been, you know, uh, trying to move efficiently into the lair, and some of the members of our party, um, you know, were unable to um, uh, move efficiently, and so we wound up being there at the same time as the devils.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
had our party stuck to the schedule, then I think we could have beaten the devils by at least 5 minutes.
Are you referring to this I'm seeing reports here of an earthquake opening a giant fissure of nightmare energy. Is that what caused the delay?
No, so I'm I don't like to point fingers, but several people weren't packed,
Hmm.
and it took them longer to get ready.
So who wasn't packed?
Oh, that would be Sylvia.
Okay.
I would say that it wasn't that I wasn't packed. It was that I needed to use an excessive amount of my resources to keep myself from dying of heat stroke.
Well, I definitely will offer a accommodation for your devotion to the team and keeping them safe. However, I think that it sounds like you could have been more efficient in doing so, so I'm also going to give you a citation die. So, with this team of devils, why did our initial recon of this mission not discover that there were other buyers?
Well, there were presumed to be other interests in it. It's an extraordinary resource to be able to get. The actual travel through the plane of fire is somewhat limited, and I think our advanced teams are simply still somewhat finding their way. Granted, that I'm glad that the Devils were there. It provided an excellent foil for the negotiations we were providing. They are very, very good at what they do, but they're also very limited in what they can actually offer, and that's where we're able to sneak in and get a very, very good, lucrative deal.
Well, I also have a glowing report here for you, Rock, that you were able to delay the party of the devils. You knew just exactly what would lure them to go on a snipe hunt to keep them from entering negotiations first. Tell me about that.
Well, it's a gift, really. Something that my father was able to do and kept a peaceful relationship in the home. So when I was growing up, I was able to observe just exactly what was needed by people, even if I've only met them for a second. And I knew that these devils, although judging the age of devils is very difficult, I knew that they were younger and less experienced. And so that I had a feeling, and that feeling, of course, that gut instinct is what has made me do so well in my career so far, that they were not as familiar with the territory as we had been. And I had been able to convince them that there was some foraging to be done, that the earthquake had kicked up a certain amount of minerals that would be very useful to them. That distracted them just long enough going and looking for them. And they were a little bit later coming back to the dragon. They also didn't realize that taking those would anger the dragon as it was part of the landscape around. They considered it to have mineral rights underneath the upwelling. So I managed to work out both cases. I was able to keep them somewhat intrigued as well. I think they'll do well as future clients. Just a matter of some brave souls such as myself and a good stalwart team to go in and set up those deals. I think there's some very lucrative possibilities there.
Well, I really respect your commitment to excellence there, your personal development in looking ahead for other future deals, and of course the you know recognition of your own team and how they came together for this. So that's I'm giving you two commendation dice for that effort. Well done. Um, so I see that this earthquake, if that wasn't what delayed your arrival at the dragon's lair, then tell me why I'm seeing so much reporting about this earthquake and this fissure. So if that didn't delay you, then what was the problem?
Well, has been an enormous surge in the amount of nightmare energy, specifically within that fissure, and we needed to assess some of that to see if it could be harnessed for our uses.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it took a little extra time to put that thought and consideration into the mission.
Yes, I will offer you another commendation of your commitment to excellence and efficiency, looking for opportunities in what might initially appear to be obstacles. However, I'm seeing here that once negotiations started, they started on rather an upsetting note. That what made you think that giving the dragon a perfectly preserved taxidermy bird, but fleshless in a way that made the dragon think you were giving them a dragon skeleton? What was the thinking there? Because it seems like it caused some problems.
I don't know who made that up, but that's hilarious. um there was an some artistic decisions made, and it was meant to represent a like I said, it was an artistic vision, and I was hoping it would be received in the spirit in which it was given. um I may have made a few miscalculations when it comes to anatomical similarities,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, nobody's perfect. I would have liked a bit more information on the dragon itself, um, just culturally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I did miss out a little bit on that.
So what I'm hearing is that you pursued a gift based on one of your own personal hobbies at the expense of the team and the mission, and just now attempted to blame a lack of information on presumably authority instead of
Oh
taking
no,
responsibility for your own lack of preparation.
no, I would never blame um, our higher authorities here,
Uh,
because they are incredibly wise.
so who
Um,
are you blaming then that you didn't have enough information?
well, I was hoping that Rock would have given me a little more to go on, as far as I don't have a lot of experience
To be fair,
parlaying with dragons.
I
So,
was trying to help Sylvia. The gift idea is something that I think all of us could have shown up with very well, and thankfully it did in the end. But giving a gift is an art form and very difficult sometimes to master. And I will say the quality of the taxidermy seemed quite good. I'm not one to judge those very much, but I was quite impressed with the quality overall. Just the tone, unfortunately, didn't quite match what we were going for.
So
If the gift had been cleared with me earlier, I might have been able to provide it a bit better, but it was during the packing phase when I didn't get a chance to see it.
so you're saying that it was Sylvia's fault for not showing you earlier the gift that she had prepared.
I think that could have mitigated circumstances a bit, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But she
So
did do her best.
I think that Sylvia, obviously, I think that the gift that you provided does not show a commitment to excellence. I think that's a citation for you. Uh, Brock, clearly, you are taking some responsibility for the gifts in question, and it sounds like you should have either provided her with more information or have vetoed this gift ahead of time. So I think that that is a citation for you as well. However, I do recognize here that the dragon did, in fact, actually really like the construct that you provided. That this nanny bot construct. It looks like that was a big hit.
Yes, it was very successful. I knew that an important figure such as this dragon would have their attention spread in multiple places. So I felt that an assistant that we could provide, one that would be durable enough to survive through these conditions. One of our great models. It's a great exemplar, also of
Hmm.
the sorts of things that we can provide. And I'm sure that all of the guests the dragon will have will be complimenting them on their construct, which means it's an incredibly new market that's just opened up for us. The demand is going to be incredible. It
Hmm.
also is a very complimentary gift as well. It does provide us with an opportunity to help the dragon understand the great qualities that we have and understand our culture, as well as being able to potentially talk to the construct in the future and determine what it's been able
Hmm.
to learn about our new colleague.
So it seems very clear that the dragon was very pleased and impressed with this gift of one of our best and most expensive constructs.
You know what they say in business? You do have to provide a little, but you'll get a lot in return. Like I said, the business that will open up, the potential new market, the praise that we will get from a renowned red dragon in that area will be unmeasurable in terms of how good that public relations will be. So
Hmm.
I'm looking forward
Indeed.
to the returns on that.
I looked over those numbers as well, and again, based on what was in stock, although it was expensive, the return on investment is going to be extremely high. There were very few other things that we had in stock that could have survived that environment based on the heat and the dust and lava and getting spit on by fiery dragon breath.
Sure.
Um, and so, yeah, I believe that it was a very good choice.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes. Well, I think that that merits a commitment to excellence commendation for Rock in choosing that gift, and would also like to offer Argyle commendation both for team spirit and sticking up for Rock's decisions, also checking over his work to make sure that the mission was both efficient and fiscally responsible. So I'm giving you another two citation or commendation dice for that. So I think that the gift giving portion was a bit of a wash. We had an upsetting one followed by a good one. It sounds like the presentation of the offer didn't get off to a great start. I see here, Argyle, it says that you put the dragon to sleep while trying to explain the contract.
this is part of my negotiating tactics. Um, I'm very good at making sure that I craft my words properly in order to bore my target into complacency. By the time that I was done waking the dragon up for the third time, um, it would have signed anything. And in fact, it did. I put so much uh, extra taxes in there that were couched in terms of profits,
Mhm.
um, that we're going to be making money on this, whether that factory ever gets built or not.
So I would ask Rock and Sylvia if that was your assessment as well of Argyle's presentation of the contract.
I actually have a few concerns that we may face possible litigation in the future, simply because the presentation was such that it was difficult for the client to follow, and that may be cited as mitigating circumstances for some extra compensation or negating the contract altogether.
Hmm.
I've got to say that Argyle's commitment to being thorough is unmatched by anyone I've ever met before. I think that perhaps the third pass through the contract, though, might have been a little bit excessive. I know that it was illustrative of exactly the points we needed to have, and of course, you were able to move very quickly through some of the less desired to be noticed clauses in there. So I think that you did extraordinarily well at that. It may have taken less time, certainly with the excessive heat, it made it difficult. We had to also keep replacing the paper because it kept lighting on fire. But aside from the loss of all of those additional copies of the contract and the additional time and wear and tear on the equipment and the personnel, I think it was an extraordinary
Hold on.
dedication to a fit to
I want to go back to
completeness.
something you just said. Argyle, did you not bring fire-resistant paper for the contract?
Um,
Unfortunately,
the copies to be signed were certainly fire resistant. The other copies were there as backups, just in case, and not wanting to waste money. Because you never know what's going to happen in a dragon's lair. A wind from a wing flap could send a contract into a pit of lava. Uh, I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of copies, but not waste so much money on fire-resistant paper.
Well, it
So
sounds like you wasted money on the non-fire resistant copies because they just burned up.
well, that was part of their job. That again allowed me to restart from the beginning to make sure the dragon was properly
Mhm.
lulled to sleep. And so now, should the dragon bring up any particular issues with the contract,
Mhm.
we can simply say, well, this was explained to you multiple times. Argyle read you the contract multiple times. All you had to do was stay awake and you would have known these things.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not our fault that uh, the client fell asleep while being informed
It
of the
sounds
contract.
like it is your fault.
Well, I did this on purpose for us, but the dragon doesn't know that.
I'm going to put here on your record, Argyle, a citation for personal development. I think that you need to perhaps um, not try to pass off a monotonous presentation style as a deliberate choice. I'm not sure that I completely buy the maybe even if it is deliberate, I'm not sure I am persuaded that it is effective. However, it is nonetheless a commitment to excellence that you did think about having a strategy and attempted to pull it off regardless. So you have a commendation for that as well. I did not paste it. I didn't actually give you the little thing. Here we go. Uh, I like uh, I like Rock that you um, made an effort to. Well, I think that there was some team spirit and uh, attention to detail in that, but I think I don't have any other specific notes for it at the moment. It sounds like Argyle that despite this complication with the dragon falling asleep, and it sounded like it just made the whole process take long enough that the devils showed back up again. But I do see here that you did manage to successfully negotiate a side deal with the devils, which made them back off their claim. That seems like a very positive development. Tell me about that side deal.
The side deal has to do with some undeveloped mineral rights that we got as part of controlling the area of the upwelling that they are very interested in.
Mm-hmm.
It's far enough away from where our operations are going to be that we won't be in conflict. They can portal in on a completely uh, different area. They're going to be on one side of a mountain and we're going to be on the other side, and uh, that particular mineral rights were part of the things in the contract that we have now um, uh, s- sublet to the
Mm-hmm.
devils. They are particularly fond of sulfur and some heavy metal ores like copper and silver and lead.
You know, I'm surprised that they would be so fond of sulfur. It seems like they would have a lot of that already.
I was rather shocked, but apparently it comes in many different flavors. And when Rock sent them out looking at minerals, they found some stuff that they found to be very savory on that side of the mountain.
Hmm.
And I was able to incorporate that into the side deal um,
All right.
and generate some extra profit for us, as well as to get them to start thinking about mining constructs that they would happily sign a contract for.
Excellent. I'm giving you a commendation for your quick thinking, your commitment to excellence, fiscal responsibility, thinking about future deals, and of course, uh, team spirit, working with your team. Also for your assistance in that, Rock. I'm giving you a commendation as well for team spirit. Um, I do see here though that. While that side deal was being negotiated and the dragon was uh, waking back up, seems a little cranky, you were, it says here, trying to kiss its shiny backside with flowery words, and in the process managed to sit on one of its eggs.
It's a misconception. I've done some research about dragons and trying to approach them. Every dragon is unique and their cultural norms are very varied. So, in attempting to have some contact with their offspring, merely to be able to make sure that I've accurately measured everything for the nanny bot, which, by the way, was perfectly measured. My assumptions worked perfectly well. It was mistakenly seen that I had been leaning on it, which wasn't actually the case. I had touched the egg,
Mhm.
but of course,
So you're saying you were only leaning on it.
it could seem like I was leaning backward because I needed to be able to measure it against the back of my leg, and
So,
because
one of your teammates said that you were sitting on it. Are you saying that that was a lie?
oh no, no, of course not. What merely
So you
happened
were
is in the
sitting on it.
positions. No, the positions that we were in, it could give the impression of someone sitting on it because I was
It sounds like
crouched
the
down quite a
dragon
bit.
had the impression that you were sitting on it.
Again, that was merely the angle from which the dragon was actually viewing what was happening.
Hmm.
It was easily and quickly cleared up, though. And once I
Was it?
explained the full features of
How
this
how was it clear quickly and cleanly cleared up?
well, in being able to demonstrate what the nanobot can actually do, and being able to demonstrate that it could also take a not dissimilar position than what I had, which
Hmm.
again looked as though it was sitting, but was actually crouching down to make sure it could inspect the egg from as many different directions as possible, look for any concerns that might be raised, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it was merely in making having the nanobot demonstrate that it was not in fact sitting on the egg that was able to bring clarity to the dragon's vision.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a commendation die for your ability to further demonstrate that the utility of the gift you provided. However, I'm also going to cite you for a lack of team spirit in implying that your colleagues were lying about you.
Oh no, not lying, just had a different
Oh,
point of view,
citation issued. All right.
of course.
Uh, it looks like we also have, in the process of everyone getting a little heated in the egg dispute, I see here, Sylvia, you used your tree growing spell, ability, item. What is it?
Oh, it's kind of I can only really do it once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a very special ability that I learned quite a while
Oh,
ago.
the
I
special
don't have
ability
cause
that
to
you
use,
learned. I am going to give you a commendation for personal development. Yeah.
but it was also a moment where having to do with the equipment that we'd been
Mm-hmm.
given, um, we required a little bit of extra protection from the elements.
Mm-hmm.
And while it didn't last long, it did provide us just enough to get through the moment.
It does look like an excellent use of your resources to provide, that level of comfort in those crucial moments. I will offer you another commendation there, and from there, I also see that you managed to provide some of the final last details to the contract changes that the dragon demanded. Um, so I see that that was clearly effective in that regard. So well done on that. You have another commendation for your commitment to excellence. Uh, Argyle, why were the changes needed to the contract?
The dragon woke up suddenly and
Mm-hmm.
caught me in mid-sentence talking, and thankfully Sylvia was there uh, to ease the way and help work some more uh, advantageous things that I had not thought of until that point into the
It had
contract.
it had to do a little bit with the massive fissure and all of the nightmare energy that had been building up.
Mm-hmm.
That was unforeseen until we got there and realized the scope of it, and it ended up actually working in our favor. The dragon was concerned about the size and the level of energy emanating from this thing, so we had to make additional assurances that these energies would not negatively impact their territory.
Well, I think that that is a commendation for team spirit for both of you in working together to solve those lingering issues. So, looks like that is the extent of the mission. Once the contract was signed, you of course returned. Now, this is something that we've been keeping pretty close to the vest here, but we do have an opening that we are looking for someone to fill. However, we also need to reduce headcount, and so we're going to be taking a look at your commendations and citations here to determine exactly where each of you will be going from here. So, if I could ask you first to separate your commendation and citation dice, making sure not to confuse them with your neighbors. To just put them in separate little piles. Are you able to move them?
Oh,
No.
I haven't. Oh, look, I didn't see those.
Yes, I've been putting them up at the top of the sheet. If you're not able to move them, I can try to.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, well,
Yeah, yeah.
that's okay. Let me just give you control over them. What is the? Oh, you know what? I don't know that I can do that with all of them at once. So rather than having to do that, I should have done that with the ones that I was copying and pasting. It's fine. I will just have to do the mechanical rolling itself. So the way that this is going to work is now that we have all of the dice assigned, we're going to have each of you, all of your commendation dice get rolled and all of your citation dice get rolled. But any of your commendation dice that match any of your citation dice are eliminated. Like they won't count. And that means, so if you roll a 3 on a citation dice, then any 3s on your commendation dice are canceled. And so then once we have done that, we didn't need to do any anarchy dice, so that's fine. We don't need to do that. And then we will note the following numbers once we have the end result. There's the highest individual result rolled from 1 to 6, so like whatever the highest remaining commendation die number is, and then the number of dice that match that, and then how many dice you have, and that's what will figure into the score. So let me, I guess, just first do these rolls for each of you, because I have to control them here on Roll20. So let's roll your okay. So and then rolling the okay. So looks like your citation dice you got a 6, which is going to cancel that, and then a 1, which doesn't cancel any of them. So it looks like you have 2 3s, or rather 2 4s are the highest result. There's also 2 3s and a 2 with 5 dice remaining. Make sense? That's how we're scoring it?
Yep.
All right. Now, for Rock, we're rolling 6 commendation die and 4 citation die. I guess I could actually roll all of them at once. I don't have to do them separately. Okay,
Oof.
so there was a
Oof.
6 on the citation, which cancels the 2 6s
Not much
on
left.
your commendation.
Actually,
And
there's
then
nothing left. I think. Oh wait, no, there's
you have a
4.
4. You have 1 4 that doesn't get canceled.
Yeah.
All right, and then for Sylvia,
Who's doing very well apparently.
well, has a lot of dice to roll for sure, but it we'll
Could go either way.
yeah.
Oh,
Let's see.
Wow.
So you got a 5, lots of 1s and 2s in those. So let's see.
3's canceled.
1 5. The 3s are canceled.
Bucket load of dice left over though.
Yeah. So
That's
looks
7.
yeah. So it looks like you had and this one over here too. So yeah, it looks like your result is you had 1 5, 2 2s, and 4 1s for a total of 7 remaining. So let's see. So once we have everyone's numbers, arrange them in order of highest individual result from worst to best, and then consulting the list below. So what that means is that Starla, or rather Sylvia, has the highest result, and then followed by Argyle, who has 2 4s instead of 1 4. So
I'm getting fired out of a cannon.
yeah. End results. I'm sorry, Rock. Based on the performance in this mission, even though it ultimately was successful, we are in a mode right now where we can't afford to have agents that are, let's see, liabilities. And so I am afraid that I'm going to need you to report to room 3B, and we will notify your loved ones.
Well, I never hold grudges. I got you all something.
So, did you have gifts that you want to give before?
Of course I do.
Ah, well, wonderful.
This is a piece of the crystal, which is going to be one of the most lucrative things you've seen around. I'll give that to Argyle for that mineral contract. I did manage to find a small skeleton, some sort of rodent type thing. I think that you'll be able to make something beautiful out of this, Sylvia. And for you, Mission Control, I have nothing but the utmost respect for your job and your title. So,
Well, that's
Good
just
luck
part
to
of
you.
your job. So, 3B.
right. Oh, I did get you something. I'm sorry, I forgot.
So, in second place, we have Argyle. You, as an agent, truly exemplified the 7 habits of highly effective agents. You are exactly the type of agent that we need in our endeavors. So you are getting the promotion, and there will be a corner office and an agency credit card for emergency use only, of course. But you, Sylvia, you have demonstrated skill above and beyond what was expected. You truly embodied the best of what we have to offer. And in fact, you've done so well that, frankly, you are too competent to be wasted on this type of mission. And you, in fact, will have your clearance upgraded to Omega 7. This, of course, comes with a series of perks. And Argyle, you watch as a team of security constructs barge into the room, put a black bag over her head, and then drag her away. So, Sylvia, you find that you are brought to the special Omega 7 programming room, where your mind is deconstructed in order to identify all of the ways that the effectiveness and efficiency and skills that you provided can be added to future constructs. And you become a critical part of the ongoing construct maker team.
Yay.
You've got a job forever.
I thought I was host.
And that's mission accomplished.
Game accomplished.
Yes.
All right. So I hope that was fun. We hope that we will have everybody again soon and be able to continue our Pocket Protector adventure. But in the meantime, I thought this was a fun, silly little game, and I hope you enjoyed.
Crazy.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
All right.
Thank you.
So,
And as the sole survivor,
Shitty
Well, no,
prize.
her soul survived, sort of.
yeah. Well, you're assuming Argyle had one to begin with.
True. It doesn't weigh anything, so it can't possibly exist.
all right. So I think that's where we will leave it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for listening and or watching, and we will return next time for more adventure on so many levels.
So many
So
levels.
much
Many
backstabbing.
levels.
in mid-management.